One, two, three, let's go!
Hello learners, welcome back. Now let's learn about protein. So, what are proteins? Protein is an energy-yielding nutrient composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So the presence of nitrogen makes the protein different from carbohydrates and lipids. And there are 30,000 types of proteins with different jobs present in our body. So take note that the building blocks of proteins are called amino acids. So as mentioned, proteins are complex structure and do more jobs in the cell than any other type of biomolecules. Cells produce thousands of kinds of proteins and they literally control all the activities of life, so much so that illness or death can result if even one is missing or faulty. Now let us try to understand the structure of an amino acid. So we have known that a protein is a chain of monomers called as amino acid. So each amino acid has this central carbon attached or bonded to four other atoms or group of atoms. One is the hydrogen. Second, we have the carboxyl group or the COOH. The third is the amino group. Amino group is a nitrogen single bonded to two hydrogen atoms. And the fourth is a side chain or the R group. So this R group, this can be any of the 20 chemical groups, and this R group distinguish amino acids from one another, and they have diverse structures. So the dehydration synthesis reaction connects an amino acid to each other. So a peptide bond, this one, is the resulting covalent bond that links each amino acid to its neighbor. So two link amino acids, just like here in this example, it forms a dipeptide. So three forms a tripeptide, and long chains of amino acids are polypeptides. So a polypeptide is called as a protein once it folds into its functional shape. So a protein may consist of one or more polypeptide chains. Unlike polysaccharides, most protein do not exist as long chains inside cells. Instead, the polypeptide chain folds into a unique three-dimensional structure determined by the kind and order of amino acids. So biologists describe the conformation of protein at four levels. We have the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure. So this amino acid sequence of a polypeptide, it forms the primary structure, while the hydrogen bonds creates the pleated sheet and the alpha helix, and this forms the secondary structure of protein. While the tertiary structure, which is this one, is the overall three-dimensional shape of a protein, and the interaction of multiple polypeptides or two or more polypeptides forms the protein's quaternary structure. And take note that proteins, or the amino acids rather, can be classified in two ways. And there are 21 amino acids that are required for building proteins in our bodies. However, 9 amino acids are considered essential or indispensable because they must come from our diet, like protein-rich foods such as meat, fish, dairy products, beans, and tofu. So digestive enzymes catalyze the hydrolysis reactions that release amino acids from proteins in food. So the body then uses these monomers to build its own polypeptides. So these essential amino acids help to build and repair muscle tissue. These are precursor molecules for the formation of many neurotransmitters in the nervous system. So on the other hand, there are 11 amino acids which are considered non-essential or dispensable amino acids. So these can be made by our bodies from other amino acids. So in humans, meaning they can be synthesized in sufficient quantities in the body, And these non-essential amino acids form from other substances in the body and can be used to provide energy. So we have here the table representation of the different categories or types of amino acid. So we have the essential and the non-essential amino acids. However, you may notice here in the middle, we have the conditionally non-essential. So these are not essential or non-essential except in times of illness and stress. So it also means that they do not need to be taken in through the diet along with being made in the body. So these are important for children who are growing rapidly. So for the distribution of proteins in our body, we can see that more proteins are found in our muscles than in our bones, skin, blood, glands, and other tissues. So proteins has these various functions in our body or in an organism's body. It is for enzymatic, storage, structural, protection, hormonal, contractile, receptor, and for transport roles. So, as to the structural roles, we have the keratin that makes up our hair and our nails, the collagen which supports the ligaments, tendons, and skin. The actin and myosin, these are proteins that forms filament in cells, and this is responsible for the muscle contraction. So histones, on the other hand, these histones are proteins which are associated with DNA to make chromosomes, and the intercellular filaments hold cells together. So for the hormonal roles, we have as an example, we have the insulin controls the amount of sugar in the blood. So failure to produce insulin leads to one form of diabetes, an illness that can be deadly. Also, we have cyclin. This cyclin signals now the cell to go into stages of mitosis. So another, for the transport role, we have the hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is a protein that transports oxygen to the blood. And this is the structure of a protein or the hemoglobin molecule. So hemoglobin molecule has a quaternary structure. It consists of two pairs of alpha and beta chain. On the other hand, the protein we consume can be altered and changed, but it can never return to its initial form. So this is what we call as denaturation. So proteins are therefore vulnerable to external conditions that alter their shapes. So heat, acids, bases, alcohol, or wrong pH are factors that can denature a protein, therefore changing its shape. Just like here in this example, we have this native albumin. Once it undergoes denaturation, so therefore it changes now the shape of the protein so that it can no longer carry out its function. So as an example, consider what happens to an egg as it cooks. So heat disrupts the hydrogen bonds that maintains the protein shape. So the protein will unfold, then clump and refold randomly as the one clear egg proteins turns into solid white, just like what you can see here in this picture.